Welcome back to Tech Talks. For our 8th explainer, we are diving into two tools that are, and I mean this, absolutely essential for anyone who writes code: Git and GitHub. Trust me, getting a solid handle on these isn't just helpful, it's a total game changer for how you build and collaborate on projects.
So, to really get why these tools are so important, let's start with a problem. A problem I'm pretty sure we've all run into, whether it's with code, a group paper, or anything really. You know the feeling, right? You're working on something important, maybe with a few other people, and your folder just starts to spiral out of control. It's pure chaos trying to figure out who changed what and which version is the actual right one.
Oh yeah, we've all been there. That frantic file naming is a cry for help. This mess, this fear of overwriting someone's work or losing a good idea, this is exactly the problem that version control was invented to solve.
So, clearly, this isn't sustainable. We need a system, right? A smart, reliable way to track every single change and work together without stepping on each other's toes. And that system, it all starts with a tool called Git. Let's get into it. Think of Git as your own personal time machine for your project, running right on your computer. It remembers everything. Okay, first things first, let's clear up something that trips a lot of people up. Git and GitHub are two different things. Git is the software, the engine on your machine that tracks all the changes. GitHub is the website, the cloud service that hosts your projects using Git so you can share and collaborate with others. Now, everything in the Git world begins with what's called a repository, or just repo for short. The best way to think of it is a project folder with superpowers. It doesn't just hold your files, it holds the entire history of every single change ever made to them. So how do you use it? Well, the day-to-day process is a really simple, repeatable cycle. The Pro Git book puts it perfectly. You make some changes. You choose or stage the specific changes you want to group together, and then you commit them as a single saved snapshot in time, and you just repeat. And this breaks it down perfectly. It's a little three-step dance. First, you modify your files, do the actual work. Then, you use a command, git add, to say, okay, I want to include these specific changes in my next save point. Finally, you use git commit to lock in that snapshot permanently with a message describing what you did. But what if you want to experiment with a new feature or fix a bug without breaking the main, working version of your project? Well, this is where Git's killer feature comes in: branching. It's like creating a parallel universe for your code, a safe sandbox where you can do whatever you want. And this diagram just illustrates it beautifully. See that master branch? That's your rock-solid, stable version. But off to the side, you can have a develop branch or even a short-lived topic branch to work on something new without ever putting the main project at risk. It's brilliant. Okay, so you've got this amazing time machine on your computer with Git, but coding is so often a team sport. How do you get everyone working together? Well, that's when we bring in our second player, GitHub. GitHub is basically a home for your Git repositories up in the cloud, but it's so much more than that. It adds this whole social and collaborative layer on top. It's where you can share your work, see the project history visually, and most importantly, have other people review your code and contribute. And here's the key concept. GitHub hosts what we call the remote repository. This becomes the one central official source of truth. Everyone on the team syncs their local work with this one remote repo, so you're all guaranteed to be on the same page. All right, let's put it all together. Let's walk through how Git and GitHub combine in a real-world collaborative workflow. This is pretty much how millions of developers, from open source communities to big tech companies, work together every day. So, let's say you find a project you want to contribute to, but you don't own it. Your first step is to fork it. Clicking that button on GitHub instantly creates your own personal copy of the entire project over in your own account. Now that you have your own fork on GitHub, you need to get the files onto your computer to actually work on them. For that, you use the git clone command. This downloads a complete copy of your fork right to your machine. Okay, so you've made your awesome changes locally and you've pushed them up to your fork on GitHub. Now what? You open a pull request, or a PR. This is truly the heart of GitHub collaboration. You're basically saying, hey, I did some cool stuff over here. Would you like to pull it into the main project?
And a pull request is so much more than just code. It's a conversation. As you can see here, it's a dedicated place where your teammates can look at your changes, leave comments on specific lines, ask questions. It's all about making the code better together.
And this is the magic moment. After all the discussion and feedback, once everyone's happy with the changes, a project maintainer can click that big green button. Your work is officially merged, becoming a part of the project's history forever.
You know, this whole workflow we just went through, it's not just a technical process. It's actually the foundation of a massive global community of people building amazing things together.
Seriously, once you understand this fork and pull request dance, you have the keys to the kingdom. It's the same pattern used in millions of projects, from tiny little libraries to huge operating systems. You can now contribute to almost anything.
So at the end of the day, this isn't just about organizing files. It's about unlocking a fundamentally better way to create and collaborate. It opens up this entire world of possibilities for what you can build, what you can fix, and what you can improve together. And that's our quick intro to the world of Git and GitHub. We really hope this explainer helps you get started on your own coding journey. If you found it useful, do us a favor and hit that like button, share it with a friend, and definitely subscribe to our channel, Tech Talk 101, for more explainers like this. Thanks so much for watching.